Live in person. Well, we're live. Hey, how you doing? It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Hope everything's going awesome. It's Thursday. I think we're at show 45, so we're doing good. Maybe we'll hit 50. We'll have a party. Anyway, I just want to say good morning, everybody, and thank you all for listening and watching 5 a.m. Mester Scrum, and hopefully sharing with your coworkers and everybody on LinkedIn and other channels and things like that. People, I'll blame my kid for shaking the table. And there I go, shaking the table. Things are good. So yesterday I brought out the big mistake eraser, and I thought it was going to be an omen after the day was going by. And I put out on Twitter that I made a big mistake because I thought I rushed taking this content and sending it out into the podcast world. But I didn't, thank goodness. I did make a couple mistakes. So you make mistakes as you go because you try to rush things and do some stuff and hopefully learn from it so that the next time I do this, I don't rush around. However, the big mistakes were plentiful yesterday and that's one of our topics here at 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And as we talk about Agile, Scrum, and things related to IT and business and different activities. And what I want to talk about today is a little bit, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about commitments, and we're going to talk about feature prioritization that come off from yesterday's conversation. And whenever I coach teams, Scrum Master for teams, I'm always trying to make sure they understand a lot of it's about a commitment and what can you really commit to? What is a good range to commit to? What do you feel safe and comfortable with? It's not about I'm gonna commit to an overachievement. It's what's realistic. And yesterday was first day of school, so we got letters in where the bus was gonna pick up the kids and all that. And it turned out, we're like, hey, that's like 5 blocks away. What's going on? Turned out there was a new person hired to do the bus routing for this city schools, and they didn't know all the routes and they didn't know all the rules. So there's some people that were getting the buses, some people not getting the buses, and buses pick up on the wrong side of the streets and different things like that. And there was people that were on the list from last year, but they graduated. So it was a fun day. So when we got the letter, I had talked to the principal, and the principal said they would take care of it and fix it and I agree with the school district. It's like you can call. So they want anybody just calling you. They wanted you to go back to school in person and tell where to pick up the kids because you never know. You can have some stranger out there calling in anytime and changing the bus routes, right? Or pickup points, which would be bad. So them actually telling you to go talk to the school, in my opinion, awesome idea. So kudos to them for that. The bad part is they didn't have the routing right. Anyway, the principal said they would take care of it. And I'm like, didn't hear anything on Friday. Didn't hear anything on Tuesday. We got an email about bus pickups. So on the safe side, we had backup plans, just like software coding. We had backup plans where my wife was off. I was there. I was late for work anyhow, and that's probably why I was rushing through some of the posts on the podcast. But she had committed to talking to them. Well, apparently that didn't happen. Apparently the old bus stop was still in the system, so the bus driver went to the old stop. There was us and 2 other kids from another family at the same bus stop, and the bus driver drove right by us. Well, not right by us, but 2 blocks down. And I saw him going around. I'm like, oh, that's our bus. And he's going to miss it. I kept telling my wife, no, he's not coming back. Well, wait. I'm like, you're not coming back. So we finally corralled the bus driver, and he said, oh, yeah, the old stop was still on the list, and this wasn't the stop, or this wasn't on the list, blah, blah, something like that. So there was a lot of miscommunications and commitments that were made to have it done, but had a backup plan. So that was good. So in case the commitment from the partner organization did not work out, I had another way of doing it. So that's much in the way of like but I want to go back to commitments because I can go on topic here. But it's important to make your commitments. You can have, if you don't think it's important to meet your deadlines for burner sprint, and they really plan on having that stuff. Let's say you're building a piece of code that's going to be used by another team. If you don't make your deadline, like the end of the sprint or wherever it is you said, your commitment, then the other team may have taken into account that they were going to work with your code that you were going to drop into production. And they may need that for what they're going to do in their sprint. And it's a little tight, but hey, we're trying to keep things tight and getting stuff out there. So if you miss your commitment, it goes off. So that's why you kind of want to have a good commitment, a solid commitment. Not that I'm going to over commit by 20% in my sprints, and therefore 20% of the work that I promised to other organizations is not going to get delivered. Therefore, they can't do their work, right? So you really want to meet your commitments, and it's really important. And that's why we try to go what's achievable versus what is a dream. And that can have impact. I've had that before where I've had multiple companies when I was a program manager, managing millions and millions of dollars in companies all across the world, where one company was supposed to commit to something, or one group of people. Let's say, for example, my system engineers were supposed to write some specs, or my software engineer writing some code. And they were like, oh, I got all this time and I'm not meeting my date. I says, you don't understand. I got 10 testing engineers that are available for that week because they're not testing other things. And I paid for them to be in the test lab with the 20 different boxes and the systems and the setups to run all the tests on their software that you got coming out. And they don't understand that commitment's there, and there's money and people and time tied up on the other side to accept your commitment. And I think people don't get that. And they think, oh, it's okay, I don't have to make it. No, we're paying for 10 other people. If they're not doing anything, how am I going to pay for those 10 other people? Am I taking it out of your team's budget? Oh, no, don't take it out of our team budget. Okay, but I'm paying them to sit on their butt for a week because you're late or you didn't meet your commitment. We need each other to be really serious about our commitments. So I just wanted to make the commitment and communicate. Okay, communicate that you can't make it. They can probably schedule other work during that time period, the next sprint, or rearrange your schedule to do something and be prepared to take, like I said, we had a backup plan. Wife was going to drive the kids to school if everything blew up, which it did. So we had a backup plan to get there, just like the other teams would have a backup plan. But communicate what it is. It would have been nice from the school district to kind of share what is the bus route, and maybe we can communicate back and help advise you on where the stops are and where, because we know our little neighborhood in South Philly, and they probably have no clue what the heck South Philly is like, right? All these little streets and little corners, and what's corner is a good corner, what's a bad one, which one all the tractor trailers go by, right? Which ones are little side streets, which one can a bus go down, which one can't. And that goes to communication. So anyway, got to communicate. So we talked about commitment, making commitment. I hope you're liking this, and I just want to emphasize that because that's just something that just needs to be talked about a lot, making commitments and being realistic. We're on 5am Mester Scrum. We're in all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Let me see. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, right? And then we're on podcasts yesterday. Woohoo, podcasts. We're on Spotify. I just saw us pop up on Google Play. So we're on that too. If you just type in 5am Mester Scrum, you should find us. I haven't heard yet from iTunes, and I'll try to verify they're on there. And please let me know if there are any other podcast channels that you listen to on a normal basis. And I'm going to see what we can do to get on there. It's a learning experience. I also thought I made a mistake. I texted that in Twitter yesterday. I made a big mistake, but I didn't. So, yay, I didn't make a mistake. But I am learning that when I put the little URLs in the podcast write-up, it looks okay in the product that I'm using, Podbean. However, when I'm on my phone, it doesn't look like a link. It just looks like a lot of text and a lot of garbage. So I'm thinking I'm not going to put the links in there anymore because it's not coming out on the other side. and a lot of people use their phone. So I'll just put down what all the social media you can find us, and then you just have to search if you actually look at the information on the podcast. But anyway, so thank you very much for listening. It's an experiment. We're having fun, learning as we go, and I will be sharing at some point in time how I do all this stuff on my own company website outside of this 5am Mester Scrum, because we talk about Scrum. And then if you want to learn how to do podcasts and social media stuff, I'll post stuff up there or something just to keep the content clean. So the other one topic I want to talk about is feature prioritization. Yesterday, we talked about story prioritization, having a prioritization session for stories. Well, what I find that happens is that when I coach teams typically, and they're really open, teams have to be, we talked about open too, teams have to be open to be coached and understand what Scrum is, and just kind of, sometimes they just have to let go, right? They don't let go and just let it happen. They have to trust it. And I guess they have to earn trust. How does it mean, right? It doesn't, it works so much easier. But a lot of teams that I have coached in the past, I have achieved a 50% and higher improvement factor. 50%. I guess it would be even higher than that, like double. Yeah. Double the work, usually within 6 months to a year. So what happens, the tough part is being a Scrum Master, I start out with a team is just starting, and I use index cards, right? And I'll write on there what the story is and give it a number, and I'll put it on the wall because I like the visual thing. Some people like it. So I put them on the wall. But over time, they start producing more and more stories, and I can't keep up with writing the stories, right? So I had to have the process of automating the printouts and put stickies on things and stickers, and I got a whole process for doing that because the teams will go from 20 or 30 stories to 70, 80 stories in 6 months. Well, what if you're a product owner? How the heck do you keep up with that stuff, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm reviewing like 80 stories. And one of the things I do, it depends how big the team is. I might split the team, but that's another story. But so I got all these stories. I got all this work. I got to prioritize. It's a lot of work, a lot of effort. What do we do? Well, I try to make people think in features. So what I do, instead of prioritizing all 80 of those stories, not a big thing. What I do is I have them prioritize at the feature level, because in all the systems, if you prioritize at the feature level, the little sub-stories inherit the priority of the parent, which is the feature epic, right? So they inherit that. So, but it's also easier, rather than rearrange all the little story cards around, I just have them rearrange the features. Which features do you want first in which sprint? Now I do features different. That'll be another session. And how big is a feature and how much work is really in a feature? I personally think most places, their features are massive epics. Like, my feature is I want an entire new website. Well, that's not a feature. I'll tell you, I want a new website. That's not a feature. A page on a website might be a feature. And even that might be a feature. There may be little modules or widgets that are on that page that in itself are features, because they produce all kinds of different pieces of information. So there's a lot level features in there. Now, what happens is, I think that features should be done in a sprint. Maybe you get 2 or 3 features that are consistent of 4 or 5 different stories, but at the end of every sprint, you produce a feature or an epic. And sometimes you got to do more than one. So if you're able to break things in such a way that, hey, these 5 stories belong to this epic, right? What you do is say, okay, so that epic or feature I'm going to do in sprint 1, and I'm going to do this other epic in sprint 2, and there's my priority, and then sprint 3, I'm going to do this. What happens is, when you try to prioritize all these stories, it just brings all those stories in that sprint, and then you quickly prioritize those stories. It's really simple. So in the thinking part, you're prioritizing big, massive chunks, the features, right? And as you put those features in the sprint, all the little stories come in behind it. Then you're in like prioritizing 5 things at a time versus 70 things at a time. So in your brain, it works a lot easier. So that's what I do in feature prioritization. That's how I use feature prioritization to make my story prioritization so much easier. Prioritize the feature, and then all you got to do is open up the little feature, and you'll see the 5 little stories underneath, and then it's a quick brain activity to prioritize those features. So with that, let it go. It's 15 minutes into our show, 15, 20 seconds. I want to say good morning. Thank you for listening and watching our 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Please like and subscribe. We talk about Agile and different activities, and just share it. And have a great day. Happy Scrumming. To remember, we can always fix our mistakes and make things better every sprint, which I'm going to get rid of those URL links in the podcast, because I don't think they're coming out on the Spotify or the Google Music, right? So cool. We're on Google. Hey, awesome. And you all have a wonderful day. It's Thursday, and take care. Bye.